All right, the conversation is taking a turn, and I'm glad because I think this is important stuff because I think it all ties in, really. And when you talk about Make America Great Again, yeah, there's a lot of political issues we got to deal with, cultural issues, but at a certain level, it starts local, and that's not just politically. It's also your own house, your own body, even. And you talk about the warrior mindset, and you get into health, and I know that you do some personal, some life coaching, some physical coaching with men as well, with your experience and things that you know. You can get into some of that too, and I'm sure there's more information here at DaleComstock.com, also on Instagram at @OfficialAmericanBadass, and you got so many stories to tell. But I'll start it with this. I had a guy who I run into at the gym frequently, he just listens to the show, and everybody's got their ideas. They went, hey, you got to talk about this, whatever. And you listen. I like to listen. And he's like, hey, I've got the solution for men. I've got the solution. If we get men back, we can get the country back. And he says we need to just get men on testosterone. And we can talk about testosterone being lowered and everything. And I didn't really think much of it. I'm thinking, okay, yeah. I mean, but he's like, no. He's like, really, like testosterone. It'll solve all of our problems, man. There won't be any liberal men anymore if they just get some testosterone. Okay, that's interesting. Well, then I see what's happened to Jeff Bezos. And you're kind of like a super Jeff Bezos, actually. You're like Jeff Bezos with the epic mustache. Jeff Bezos obviously probably isn't a conservative politically. Okay. But he's clearly been cycling testosterone. I mean, you can tell the difference. The guy's basically jacked now. Now, all of a sudden, he's like, hey, we need to hire conservatives at the Washington Post. Hey, we're not endorsing Kamala Harris. Maybe there's something there. Maybe I'm like, Jeff Bezos does 4 years cycling testosterone. All of a sudden, maybe he's MAGA. Maybe there's something there.
Now, there's a lot to be said for testosterone replacement therapy. I would definitely recommend it for guys over 45, for sure. It's a game changer because, as you get older, your HGH levels start to really plummet, complete drop off in your 20s. Your testosterone levels start to wane as well. And there's a difference between testosterone and free testosterone, right? So you have to know what the differences are. But any sports nutrition doctor, most doctors that are open-minded about testosterone replacement therapy can sort that out for you. But it is a game changer. I do TRT, and I can tell the difference, definitely tell the difference if I'm taking it or not taking it. In fact, if I cycle off of it, I get very sensitive like a woman. I mean, really. Yeah, no, I'm not joking. The funniest thing is you do a bodybuilding show, usually 30 days out. If you take any testosterone, you come completely off of it because it makes you hold water, a little bit of water, right? So you want to dry out, so to speak.
Yeah, do they test for that stuff too?
They do test for it, right? But not all.
There's like a levels.
Not all shows, right? So it depends on what if you're a pro or something like that. But even the pros are taking it, right? So, but what you really, the reason you get off of it is because it makes you hold water, so you have a full look. You want to have a dry vascular look, right? Striated look. And so you get off it for 30 days. And normally what happens after about 15 days, suddenly you go from having testosterone to no testosterone, but you still have a lot of estrogen. And literally all the emotions that come with it, you exhibit those, right? And it's the funniest thing. You go to a show, you look really good, you're muscular, you can't even lift up a coffee cup because you're so weak, and you want to cry about it.
This is funny. The life of a bodybuilder, a competitive bodybuilder.
I'm telling you, it's the weirdest phenomena. But you don't have to take a lot of it. You can take it. You can actually, certain guys, at a certain age, you can take it consistently at a lower dose. Won't have any side effects. And actually, it won't have any side effects as long as you do it properly, right? Do the blood testing, liver testing, things like that. Make sure your enzymes are in the normal ranges. But to me, it's one of the fountains of youth, so to speak, along with, HGH. Of course, HGH has been banned unless you have some kind of you got a doctor to help you, or you have some other kind of issues with growth.
Well, and there's other ways to get it too. There's like the IGF-1.
Yeah, you can do
deer antler velvet and peptides, stuff like that. Yeah,
they take longer, right? So that's the problem. It's just it takes a lot longer for you to get the effect. If how much effect you get is all kind of subjective.
Well, I would say, for me, obviously, you start to tell. The recovery rate is what I noticed mostly from my 20s to my 30s. It's like the recovery rate, whether it's an injury or just lifting weights, like you can tell, like, okay, now I'm in my mid-30s, like, yeah, it's different. It's different than when you're in your 20s.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you said 45 because when I get older, I would definitely want to take the TRT, 100%. But I want to wait until I'm older. I don't want to jump on it too soon. you know, because I can still do it. I can still get after it. It just takes a little more.
Right.
It just takes a little more. And I've kind of just given up like adding weight. I'm just like, you know what? This is where I'm at. I'm just going to hit this every day. Because if I start to add weight now, like I add weight on my legs, I'm, you know, walking around like a penguin or something. So I'm just really not into that anymore. But, you know, I can still get after it. I can still hit it. But yeah, I would say when I get into my higher 40s, that'll probably be when I think about it. But, you know, here's what you talk about. The same reason why I take all these supplements, it's the same reason, you know, people need to take testosterone or whatever it is. It's just the fact of our environment. It's the fact of our reality. Our foods have been depleted in nutrients. Most people don't have healthy diets. Certain chemicals and things we're exposed to in our environment deplete our testosterone. They make us have more estrogen. And so you have to do something about it. I mean, that's it. That's why I take supplements. That's why men need to consider, you know, whatever it is to get back to where they want to be. But I mean, that's really what it is. You have to adapt to the environment that you're in. And I mean, people call it biohacking. I know that you talked about biohacking and other things that you encourage men to do.
Yeah. So those are all valid points. A couple of things. You're right. First of all, food, right? The worst food we can eat is all the food we're eating. And so I actually do carnivore diet, and I literally just eat meat. Eat meat, eggs, animal products. I don't eat any vegetables, no fruit. I won't lie. I have been taking carbohydrates since I've been traveling quite a bit lately. But normally I'm strict carnivore diet, never felt better in my life. Inflammation goes away. The reason people have high blood pressure, they have congestive heart failure, they have all these cardiovascular diseases, as well as Alzheimer's. These are all related to sugar. Sugar causes inflammation, water retention, what's called advanced glycation end products. It kills your nerve endings. This is why people with type 2 diabetes lose their limbs. Sugar is the worst thing we can put in our body. You might as well just put cocaine in your body. It's just, you know, it tastes good. Well, it's natural, but so is cocaine. But doesn't mean it's good for you. Cut out all
processed sugar is even worse.
Yeah,
and the high fructose corn syrup. Oh,
all that. All that's bad for you. You know, literally, if you could just live off of, you know. For example, I'll take 4 or 5 eggs in the morning with cheese, sausage in there. My wife will cook it for me. Maybe 6 hours later, I'll eat a sirloin steak, medium well. I'll throw it in an air fryer, and then maybe that evening I'll eat another half.
You do the air fryer?
Yeah.
I have people that swear by it.
Oh, it's awesome. It's awesome. Make sure you get the one that's
I can't believe you're saying that. I know people that swear by it. I haven't done it. But
get the one that's got stainless steel, not Teflon coating, because the Teflon coating loses all kinds of stuff. It's bad for you. It's toxic. But yeah, it's great, and it's fast. And steaks come out great. But that's kind of what my diet looks like, you know, and then no sugar at all. I'll drink tea, but I put stevia in it. I'm a big fan of stevia. It's 100, 400 times sweeter than sugar, and it's all natural, no chemicals. Stay away from aspartame. There's so much I could talk about as far as nutrition goes, but if you want to get healthy, you're going to have to do the work. There's a lot of information out there. Don't listen to all this other crap that's out there, right? You know, first of all, the food pyramid by the government is completely wrong and upside down. Okay, they emphasize carbohydrates, you know, minimize your red meat, no egg yolk. That's a bunch of bunk. Actually, there is no bad cholesterol. Okay,
I'm so glad you said that. I literally had cholesterol written down next because I have probably a similar diet. I might not be as strict as you because I still will. I mean, once or twice a week I'll eat out and I'll just say, you know, eat whatever you want. But for the most part, it's just steak and eggs. It's kind of boring, but it is what it is. I went. I was in a federal prison, and it's a prison where most people have long-term stays. So you have to go there and get a medical review because you might be there for years. You get a doctor, whatever, and they do a blood test, and you know everything was good. The one thing they came back at me was my cholesterol levels were high. They're like, you have the cholesterol levels of a guy in his 60s about to have a heart attack, whatever. But of course, everything else is good. Blood pressure was good, red blood cell count, white blood cell count, you know, all of this stuff. And I kind of angered the doctor a little bit, because I kind of pushed back a little. You know, doctors don't like being pushed back on, right? Especially when you're with the medical establishment theories. And I'm like, wait, everything else was good in my blood? Like, yeah, perfect blood pressure, heart rate, you know, blood cell count, everything. I'm like, but the cholesterol's a problem. And they were kind of like, you know, you don't question. I'm like, everything is good. Why are you telling me about cholesterol? Well, they tried to put me on a pill, is why I pushed back. I think it was Lipitor is what she wanted to put me on. And I pushed back. I was like, I'm not getting that. She's like, well, you're setting yourself up for trouble if you don't take this. I'm like, you just said blood pressure, everything was good. So she kind of got a little upset. But I'm so glad you got into the cholesterol issue, because this was another big thing that I think they use to scare men. And I know there's different types of cholesterols that maybe you need to monitor. But again, is this just like, yeah, I eat steak and eggs, I have a high cholesterol level, Is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing?
It's a good thing. This is a good thing, right? So, you know, I've got several medical doctors that I coach, right? And they'll all admit they don't get any training in nutrition when they go to medical school, right? They're taught how to cut things out and give you drugs. That's what, you know, pharmaceutical companies, you know, fund these schools and stuff like this training. The reality is, ask yourself this, Eskimos, that's all they eat is cholesterol, fat and blubber and meat. And they're renowned for their healthy hearts. They don't get sick until they eat Western fare. When they come start eating our food is when they start dropping off like flies, just like the rest of us. Cholesterol is not bad. In fact, the myelin in your brain is 100% cholesterol. Okay, your brain needs cholesterol. There's in fact, the cholesterol levels used to be back in the 50s, the standard was 300 plus, 300. Now, if you're hitting 180, oh, it's too high.
That's what it was. I think I was at like, I don't remember. I was definitely over 180.
Yeah, and they want you down at 120.
She was like panicking me. She's like, oh my gosh, you need to take this pill.
Yeah, and so
I'm sorry. This is what really got me. She gets the blood results and she puts them on the table. She tells my cholesterol level, whatever it is, it's over 180. And she's like, oh, she gives me a little sheet, right? It's got your little sheet of everything that you need or whatever. And she's like, you really need to start exercising. I'm like addicted. Like, I don't do drugs or anything. Like, the serotonin I get from working out, like, I'm actually addicted to exercise. Like, if I don't exercise, like, I have, like, depression. It's, you know, maybe it's a good thing, maybe it's not. But literally, I will be depressed if I don't exercise because that's my way of getting serotonin is exercise. She's like, you need to exercise. I'm like, I exercise every day. Like, everything you're telling me is wrong.
Yeah, no, they got it wrong. They got it so wrong. You know, at the end of the day, cholesterol is good for you. There's no bad cholesterol. Studies have proven it over and over and over. The lower your cholesterol levels are, the more likely you are to suffer from heart attacks, cancer. There's many diseases. The reason people have congestive heart failure is not from cholesterol. They go, see, all the cholesterol is bound up in the blood vessel right here, clogged it up. No, the reason it got clogged up is because of the inflammation from the sugar. And there's one more thing called homocysteine. Homocysteine is basically what it does. You produce homocysteine every time you work out. You eat, you know, meats, things like that. You can actually get it from environmental pollutants and things like that. And homocysteine is a form of a free radical. And what it does is scars the interior of the blood vessels. So you get scarring inside the blood tissue, blood vessels, and you get inflammation. And so, yeah, the cholesterol won't fit through there. It gets bind up. And then when the heart attack happens, it goes, see, it was the cholesterol. Was it the cholesterol? No, it's actually the sugar and the homocysteine. Now, what is the antioxidant for the homocysteine? 200 milligrams or micrograms of folic acid, B complex, right? With 200 micrograms. That's actually the free, antioxidant. You know, we talk about antioxidants like vitamin C and things like that, and people don't understand what that means. It's very
well. And here's what's amazing about this too: you're still doing things in your 60s that a lot of men by the time they're 40 can't do.
No. I'm 61 years old, and you know, I cheat a little bit. So when I say I cheat, yes, I take testosterone. And all I'm doing is basically augmenting my body with what it used to make. I'm just putting it back in there because I'm not ready to check out yet, right? Mother Nature says, hey, you've had kids. It's time for you to leave. And I'm like, no, I'm not leaving yet. And so I'm taking more drugs because I want to be around another 40 years. The other thing I take, and this is going to blow your mind, is stem cells, exosomes.
No, people talk about that all the time.
Oh my God, dude! And so I provide that regenerative therapy, and yeah.
Well, you know, and I'm sure the military has a bunch of crazy stuff that maybe you're not at liberty to talk about. I met a guy who was like top NFL nutritionist, recovery expert, like top guy, and I just so happened to meet him at a bar, and he was a little saucy. And he was telling me, he was like, hey, you know, don't know. He was telling me some of the stuff that they get offered behind the scenes, that stuff they're doing. They're like, you know, nobody, it's kind of frowned upon. I'm like, well, okay. Yeah. I mean, it makes sense. Like, you know, how do these guys recover so fast? How are these guys able to look like super athletes and superhuman? Well, they're pretty. Anything out there that works, they're doing it.
Yeah, and you know, I don't know if they're actually getting stem cells, but I do know that sometimes they administer testosterone therapy. Guys get hurt. You know, testosterone helps recovery rates, things like that, right? So, doesn't have to be a gross amount, but small amounts of testosterone. I'm not sure if they're doing stem cells. The problem with stem cells is most people can't afford it, but the reality is they're getting ripped off. You know, most clinics, I mean, they're charging $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, $70,000 for stem cell therapy. I actually give it for $7,000 total, max $7,000, and it's 5 times more than any Clinical out there will do for. It's kind of a shameless plug, but I'm putting that out there because one of my missions is to help people, right? And so we talked about security earlier. I go get people, I bring them back. You know, I find kids, I bring them back. I find people that are missing.
Yeah, this is the kind of crazy stuff we were talking about in the break. It's just like, yeah, you can do this stuff. Again, you look at the average male, we talk about this, you look at the average male by the time they're 40, I mean, quite frankly, they have man boobs, their gut is hanging over their belt line.
Yeah, and it's most of it's diet. Did you know that 97% of all the diseases that man suffers from is all nutritional based? In fact, after the turn of industrial revolutions, cancer was almost unheard of. And now we're at actually 20 years ago, it was 1 in 4 people will get cancer. Now it's 1 in 2 people will get cancer. You know, obviously cardiovascular disease didn't exist really at all before the Industrial Revolution. Now it's one of the top killers in America. Now, you know, Alzheimer's. Now they just came out and admitted it's actually type 3 diabetes. Alzheimer's is type 3 diabetes. What's that related to? Sugar, right? Carbohydrates. We're not designed for that. We're designed to eat maybe 4 grams of carbohydrates a day, and that's it. And the government's telling you to take 300 grams a day. This is why read the food pyramid the government puts out, because I actually believe the United States government is complicit in killing millions of Americans. In fact, around the world now because of the
in multiple ways.
Yeah, because of the food. You know, they're endorsing. You know, there's, you know, like I said, diabetes. There's cancer, heart disease. Now we have the cognitive diseases, right? And it's linked back to sugar and also these artificial sweeteners like aspartame and things like that, right? These are chemical sweeteners, and they're bad for us because what they do is they affect the insulin in a different way than sugars do, et cetera, et cetera.
Well, here's my frustration too when we talk about this, or I try to talk about this with other people or people who want to claim to be experts or whatever. And I say, you know what? Throw everything out, right? Throw everything out. I'm the science. Okay? Forget about that. You be the science. I be the science. I look at you. You're the science. So that's what really gets me when people want to debate this stuff. I mean, you look at the health experts these days. I mean, some of them are comical. I don't know if you've seen some of these.
Oh, yeah.
There's some in Europe. I mean, look, we're talking about 300-pound women that look like a box fridge, okay? I mean, like gremlin-ish. Like you drew them up in a cartoon. Rachel Levine... Exactly. So that's the thing. Oh, you know, well, I read this and the studies say that. Throw it all out the window. Yeah. You be the science.
Exactly.
I'm the science.
Yeah, exactly. I'm a walking laboratory. And, you know, I'm not from Missouri, but show me. And so what I do is I test a lot of things, you know, to see what works. And like I said, I'm 61 years old. I'm probably I'm actually stronger than I've ever been my whole life. And I've always been a really good athlete. I was a professional boxer, competitive bodybuilder, and my whole life has been centered on athleticism. And what I've learned was over the years through trial and error that all the things I thought were good for me, everybody promoted, you know, you got to eat your vegetables, you got to have this, you got to have that, and a lot of carbohydrates, no red meat, was all wrong. And once I reversed all that, now I feel so much better. As soon as I started carnivore diet almost in March, it'll be 2 years ago. Within 6 weeks, I lost 32 pounds. My inflammation went away. My knees felt better. My eyesight got better. I just felt better, more lucid, more functional. Like, wow, I'm like completely renewed. And so, I played with it a little bit. I said, okay, now let me get off of it and start taking some sugar. Sure enough, I started getting goofy. I forget things. My eyesight got bad again. The inflammation started coming back. So I realized, yeah, it's the carbohydrates. If I can cut those out, then, you know, I'll be healthy. You don't need carbohydrates. We're not designed for that. You know, people think we're omnivorous like chimpanzees and apes. Actually, we're not. Why? Because if you look at, for example, our appendix is like that long, right? But the appendix in a chimpanzee or a gorilla is like that long. It's designed to take fiber, right, and break that down. We're not designed that, you know, and I always jokingly tell people, look at any cave drawing, right? Cavemen, do you ever see a salad bar on there? You just see them killing an antelope, right? And so, you know.
The cave drawings for salad bars. I haven't seen that one yet.
Yeah, and so, you know, we're designed to eat meat. There's nothing wrong with it. Lots of people, they live fine. I live great on it. I actually feel better now on a carnivore diet than I ever do. Have more energy. I don't crave carbohydrates after 3 days. Once I start, done. Don't need it no more. I don't have to eat a lot, 1 or 2 times a day. And it's kind of nice, you know, I save a lot of money on food, especially in these prices today. But there's a lot of things you can do. One is change your diet. Two, you're right, exercise. Did you know that exercise is actually the best pill or best medicine for longevity? You can still smoke and eat garbage, but if you're exercising rigorously, at least 30 minutes a day, 5 times a week, you'll still extend your life. You'll outlive the guy that doesn't exercise, that's not smoking and eating garbage. The best muscles you can work on your body, your legs, because your legs actually help produce testosterone, right? Testosterone. There we go, that word again. Leg strength is key to longevity. Most people that end up in assisted living homes, it's because they have lost their leg strength. They can't even get off the toilet no more, right? And they break their legs very easily. So leg strength is super important. If you work out your legs, it'll actually build the rest of your body. Just a testosterone surge. And yeah,
because I read up on this too, even if you're doing, like if you want to do arm and leg day, you should even still start and finish with at least some form of a leg exercise.
Yeah.
Because I forget the word is, but there's more, for men, it's different than women. Women have more in their lower body, men have more in their upper body, but it's the receptors that help you build strength. Women have more of them in their lower body, men have more in their upper body. So you kind of have to hit your lower body first and second, or first and last, to kind of get it all flowing.
Right, absolutely. We're, like you said earlier in the show, we're not all equal. Men and women are different. And so, but essentially, basically, we're still the same. But there's a different methodology for attacking body parts. If I had to make recommendations, what to do now if you want to live a healthier life is cut out all the carbohydrates, all of them. It's going to be tough for the first 3 days. You'll get over it. If you feel like I got to really have something, I make a gallon of iced tea with stevia in it. It gives me that sweet taste, although I'm not stimulating insulin. I'll drink that. I'll eat boiled eggs and eat steak, and that'll carry me for 3 days. After 3 days, I don't want any carbohydrates. Now I'm good to go. Now I'm on a carnivore diet, burning just fat, and then exercise. Actually just lifting weights. I only work out about 45 minutes a day, maybe 5 times a week. I go in very quick. I do maybe one day I'll just do all pushing exercise. The next day I'll do all pulling exercise. And one day I'll just do leg exercise and cardio, like bag work or something like that. And then as far as supplementation, I do take vitamins every day that include herbs and minerals. I don't know if I should endorse any particular brand here, but I do take a particular brand. I've been taking it for 25 years, and it's worked so far. I do take testosterone replacement therapy. I do about 250 milligrams a week of testosterone. It's kind of high just for a maintenance dose, but it seems to work. And again, I manage everything, my blood pressure, swelling. Those are pretty good indicators, swelling around my ankles, things like that. And then stem cells, exosomes. I don't do that on a regular basis because it's not affordable to do that, but I would highly recommend at least once a year if you can. Put that in your budget. That's a game changer in and of itself.
Well, it's interesting, and I'm sure what we do here at InfoWars, combating the fake news, combating the political corruption, everything like that. Before I was ever even into that, I was way more into the health stuff. So before I kind of had my political awakening, I had my health awakening. And they're kind of parallels, right? It's two different worlds, but it's like it's the same approach. It's like, hey, the mainstream media is lying to you. Hey, the mainstream health establishment is lying to you. So it's like they're two different worlds, but they're totally parallel. And it's just like once it clicks, you realize, wow, okay, I got to start making my own decisions. I got to start doing my own research, and it's a much healthier way to live. So to me, that's why I anticipated in talking politics with you, geopolitics, election. What do you know? We spent most of the time on health. But to me, that's just so important. You can't have one without the other.
Yeah, no, they're interrelated. And like I said in the beginning of the show, men have become very emasculated, and part of the reason is because of the diet. The other thing is xenoestrogens, right? So we have xenoestrogens in water bottles, plastics. Yep. We take in too many estrogens that our body cannot process out. And why do you think men have high incidence of prostate cancer and women have high incidence of breast cancer? Because of all these estrogens. We're getting loaded with estrogens from food.
We're out of time. People can learn more at DaleComstock.com and his Instagram account at Official American Badass. And he truly is the American badass. Your proof is right there. Dale, thank you so much for your time. Safe travels, brother. Appreciate you. All right, we will get into the election on the other side. I promise you. All right.